Welcome back, everyone, to the Luna Initiative. I mean, the Stadia Initiative. This is episode number 13.
Straight out the gate.
Is September 25th, 2020. And today's episode is titled the SOS Initiative because we got a couple guests with us today. Our friends across the pond over at the Sounds of Stadia, Chris and Tom. How are you guys doing today?
What is up, Stadia Initiative?
Welcome.
It is so good to see your beautiful faces. Chris is looking amazing as always. He's got the good trim. The beard is in top shape, and Tom has got his hair swooped. It is it's a great time. Let me tell you.
I should have taken tips from you because my hair is just literally all over the place. I had to put a hat.
Mate, 5 minutes in the shower and then straight on. That's what it is.
It's that simple. MM2K, how are you, sir?
I'm tired. My wife is off to work today. That's horrible. That is horrible. That is the worst thing that could ever happen. I still love you, honey. Anyway, and then I did a podcast before this one, and I had to talk to my Daddy Device Warlord friends about cloud gaming, and that isn't always fun. So hopefully they're educated, and now I get to relax with my friends from Sounds of Stadia and my friends from the Stadia Initiative. Hopefully this will go a lot smoother.
All right, man. Meg, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this thing that's happening. I'm excited to hear everybody's opinions. Yesterday I just got overwhelmed by all the news and everything that was happening, and I read up a bit about it, and I was like, I don't know. So I'm ready to face it today. So I'm excited to talk to everybody about what's going on.
Absolutely. Chase, the Godfather, how are you?
Oh my God! Stop, man. Jesus, I'm only back for a month, and then all of a sudden I start getting all the tags thrown at me again. Yep. I'm okay. It's been a long day. I had a crazy work day. I'm at a loss. It happens. But hey, look, we got a new cloud gaming competitor, and at the end of the day, it means what? We get the best value to dollar as consumers. So I'm all about this. Excited to talk about it.
Absolutely. Eddie, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm all right. I was over the moon yesterday. Today I'm back to Earth because I live in Friesland, and we won't have access to Luna.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So yeah,
we're
just
right there with you. Right there with you.
There's literally only 3 of us people in this panel that can actually.
You're outnumbered.
Yes, we are. We're the minority here. So.
Did any of you do it? Sorry. I'm sorry, Brian.
We'll get there.
I'm sorry.
Easy face first.
Mega's excited. She's like, I want this now.
She wants to know so she can block us. That's why she's
No.
All right. So kind of set the table, I guess. This is like a special episode of sorts. I was off obviously today, and most of you guys are off, or you're across the pond, and it's evening time for you. So wanted to get together, especially with the big news that happened yesterday about Amazon finally entering the cloud gaming space, and thought we'd take a little bit of time just talking about that today. We would have set some additional time if Stadia dropped anything interesting today to talk about, but I'm okay. Meg looks excited for Cake Bash or something. Go ahead and speak about it.
Ari and the Secret of the Seasons. That game looks really fun. I want to control the weather, and it just looks so just pretty, and the graphics look nice. It just looks like a cute game. The other two, I don't know, kind of baby. But I've been wrong. I'm wrong.
Oh, you got to give some love to Fogs. Come on.
Okay, they are dogs, which I love, but I don't like that they're connected. That's weird. So
I'm trying to put on his best convincing face right then. I love it.
Yeah, right.
Can't wait.
Megan, have you never watched Cat, Dog, and Cat?
Yeah, Cat Dog?
Cat Dog.
Cat Dog.
I don't know. No, is this a cartoon?
Oh yeah, I was like,
you guys all know this, and I don't.
It might be an age thing.
I mean, we're all like the same age, aren't we?
We're all the same age.
So, all right. I mean, I guess we kind of just started talking about it. Were any of you guys excited?
Okay, boomer.
What's that?
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer.
You're the boomer.
So, Cake Bash, Ari and the Secret Seasons, and what's the name of the dog game? Fogs.
Fogs.
P-H-O-G-S, I believe.
P-H. Yeah.
So, Tom, do any of those games interest you?
I mean, I'll probably have a bit of fun with Fogs with my fiance. She'd enjoy that kind of co-op craziness. The others, I think I'm with Meg on it. I think I really like the look of Ari. I remember seeing the marketing push from it by I think it's not Coat. I think it's the other one. It's Modus, isn't it?
Yeah,
Modus,
yeah.
the publishing.
Is it really?
Yeah, so it's Modus. So I'm kind of looking forward to trying that one out. Cake Bash, I don't really care about whatsoever at all.
Me neither.
Not for me.
What was that? How about you, MM2K?
No, I'm still riling from my Serious Sam 4 experience yesterday. So
Yeah.
Fair enough.
yeah, messy. But no, I'm just it's all steam ahead till Dead by Daylight comes out, or more importantly, Baldur's Gate 3. But for me personally, none of those games appeal to me.
Fair enough. How about you, Chris?
I mean, I'm partial to a bit of cake from time to time. I don't usually bash one around, but two dogs stuck together. Is it Ari, or are we just calling it Ari? Good old Ari.
It is Ari, actually. It is actually
I
Ari.
kind of want to say Ari though.
Me too.
The deep Cockney inside me is like Ari, mate.
Ari.
But aside from that, it's new games. It's weird because these are obviously from bigger publishers, but they kind of still fit that bracket that we got with the indie makers almost. It feels like they're in that similar vein. It's not the upper echelons that I think probably a few people in the community were maybe hoping for.
I also feel like we've actually known about these games for quite some time, but they've sort of just gotten swept under the rug. I feel like I've seen like the ESRB PEGI ratings and things like that way long ago for these.
Yeah, that's true.
I've been Stadia, so.
Well, this isn't finally actually coming out and confirming it, though, isn't it? For the first time?
Yeah. I mean, didn't Cutsing strictly denied Cake Bash was coming?
They did. I'm pretty sure they did, yeah.
No. We've got it on Xbox first. I think we need to sort that out. And then now it's okay to talk about it.
Shouldn't have leaked the logo, bud. Eddie. How about you, man?
We talk about everything here.
Yeah. Eddie, what? There you go.
Yeah. Well, the Airbender. Oh no, wait, that's another. It's controlling another thing, not season. All right, I'm gonna go with. I would give it a try to Cake Bash, just because it's party-ish. Looks like mini games, and I'm hooking on that vibe right now because of Among Us and Fall Guys. So I'm chilling a little bit, getting ready for the end of the year with the big AAAs.
Yeah.
So, but here's the deal: we don't know when that. Is it Cake Bash launching on October?
Yeah, that was
October 15th, is it? Yeah.
So yeah, but I think it's a cool game to spend 2 weeks until Watch Dogs arrives.
That's a Thursday. That might. That's a multi-platform game, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we don't know anything about crossplay, of course.
Well, I was going to suggest it being a pro game, but if it's I don't know. It's possible. I wouldn't rule it out. Chase, how about you? Any of those games excite you?
Ari does.
Jeez.
It's I don't know. I like those kind of aesthetics, and I like some of the core mechanics of it. So it's one that I'm interested in. The other two, they didn't really go into detail about pricing and some of the other stuff. Actually, they didn't do that with Ari. I apologize. I'm messing up. One of them did get a date, and so none of them got pricing. One of them got a date. So what I'm trying to get at is I wouldn't be shocked if we see this in the pro kind of roll out at some point. These games, they kind of fit that profile that they've been doing. But yeah, these really don't speak to me with the exception of Ari.
Fair enough. All right, let's try and see if we can speak to you about something else happening in the world of video games. So yesterday, did anyone know that Amazon had a physical hardware event yesterday? Because that came out of nowhere for me.
Nope.
I was not paying attention. What's up?
I was just gonna say, did you guys realize that Tom has his back wall on purple? On purpose, I would say.
Sounds of Luna.
I mean, hey, we did just pick up a puppy like a few weeks ago, and she happens to also be called Luna. I'm not saying it was predicted in any way whatsoever, but
Tom, you're lying. You went into the DeLorean. You went a year ahead. You knew this was going on. Don't fool anybody.
Tell us.
Let's get to Bound Cubs again.
So is your dog purple?
No, but I'm pretty sure if I gave Holly free reign, she would dye the dog purple. I'm pretty sure she would.
Well, so Luna is the latest the entrant into the cloud marketing space, and unfortunately for our friends across the border and across the pond, it's currently only available to us stupid Americans here. So we'll hopefully find out more about when we can actually test this out and stuff like that. But as far as I know, it works pretty similar to Stadia, except for the fact that you can't use an Android device just yet, but you can use an Apple device. So I mean, that was kind of the first tip of like, whoa, that's interesting. So you can use your Fire Stick.
Caveat.
Exactly. You have to use a Safari browser if I'm not mistaken, right? But let's see here. No waiting for lengthy downloads or updates, blah, blah, blah. They're doing like the same exact messaging when it comes to play on any screen as Stadia would do here with the all 6 screens or whatever. That's 5. I need to count. But down here, we got a nice little graphic of games here. And obviously the big hitters here would belong to just Sonic Mania. So Control, Resident Evil 7, Metro Exodus, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, probably your biggest hitters. Of course, Sonic Mania is my favorite on that graphic. But just right off the top, Tom, have you been able to look at the list of confirmed games for
I have actually, and I'm kind of actually furious now. I've looked at this list, to be honest with you. There's quite a few collections there that actually sort of I would really love to see on Stadia, and I'm really hoping that Konami come out and give a little bit of support there. Particularly the Castlevania Anniversary Collection. That's the one that stands out to me.
Oh, look at that. And Contra.
And Contra. Absolutely. Crosscode as well is actually a really good indie title. I played a lot of that on Steam as well. That's a really good title. I'd love to see on any platform, really. Yeah, looking through this list, there's quite a few games in here that I actually do enjoy playing or would like to play. So, I mean, I gotta wait and see. I know Duncan's come out and got confirmation on most of these titles here. But I still want a little bit more information on like the pricing structure as to whether these all come with Luna Plus or how it all works together, really, because I'm still kind of waiting with bated breath to see how it rolls out when the early access goes out.
Under the initial impression that this is going to be a part of that base subscription right away, I would imagine. But that's just me,
You're right, Brian. That they confirmed that on Twitter.
That all these games are going to be on launch day?
Yep.
Okay. There you go. I mean, it's
that's a lot of IP.
Which, by the way, is launching. What they announced that it's beginning the early access in early October, but there hasn't been any further details in early October.
All right. Awesome. So MM2K, where would you which games on here definitely appease you?
Control.
Okay.
I mean, here's my thing. I look at this Control, Metro Exodus, but we got Metro Exodus. Here's how I look at this list. It's cool for the buffet gamer that wants to play, a bunch of this and a bunch of that. That's a category of gamer. I just want to make it clear. And again, this is no shade at Luna, because Luna is going to be a game changer, and we'll get into that. But for those gamers like myself who everything I want to play, I get day one. The only with a few caveats here and there, like a Control, Control. you know what I mean? Control. I want to see the other channels. That's what's going to entice me.
Exactly. So if you're new to this kind of news, the way it's going to work, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, so it's going to work like a cable package almost. So you get to pick like what channels you want as a part of your package. And the initial package known as Luna Plus would be all these games. And then the first publisher that they've announced so far is Ubisoft, which is not really a surprise. Good to see them on board with yet another new platform, but you'll pay individually for channels, I guess, and be like specific publishers. So you can add on to it in whatever way you want to, and make it like a Netflix, a gaming that people were considering or hoping that Stadia was going to be like. But I mean, just this initial list, I'm not seeing any new games. Did you guys see any like brand new games, or at least kind of like a day and date type game outside of Ubisoft stuff?
No, I'm personally surprised they've not tried to push some of their own. The two MMO titles they've been working on. I know they're more PC centric, but it seems odd that they actually have independent cell-phone studios working on big, massive titles. Which, bear in mind, one came out and then quickly regressed back into early beta access after its public launch. But it's weird to think they've got studios working on stuff and then not like tentpole titles that you could only play on Amazon Luna. So it's a curious choice. Like, you'd like to think if Google had their own studios well into development by the time they launched, they would have had them good to go almost. So I don't know. I did, as a point to what you mentioned though, Brian, about the channels as well. They have came out and actively said that they're not just going to be developer specific, that you could get a channel that would be maybe RPG or indie, and they're going to mix it up via genre as well as specific publishers. So that adds another interesting channel for like your cable package analogy.
Outstanding. Meg, which of these games interest you the most?
There's a few that interest me. Plague Tale Innocence I've wanted to play for a while, and Resident Evil is like my most requested game to play. So I would definitely I've never played any of them, so I would try that one out. Control, definitely. Rhyme, I have heard some people say such good things about Rhyme as a game. And then just looking at the little like thumbnails they have, Everspace and Abzu look pretty cool. I would check those games out. So yeah, there's a bunch on here that I think I would play and try.
Fair enough. Chris, how about you?
Some big titles for me. Control, it was my game of the year contender last. I think it won a lot of big game of the years last year, and I think it's a shame to see it suddenly come out on a competitor platform. I know Brian, you and me back and forward on Twitter quite regular about Sonic the Hedgehog. He may not be exclusive to Amazon, but he's a mascot character you can put front and center, and they did it on their Luna launch trailer, showcasing that little blue blur. Just does a lot to drill nostalgia and pull people into a positive kind of mindset, as opposed to nobody front and center. Yeah, we had a full side podcast about mascots and how important they are, whether they're unique to you or not. They're characters people have known for decades now, so putting that front and center is huge. Titles for me I've also been harping on about. I'd love to see Overcooked on Stadia, especially with possible crowd choice implementation, and they've gone and bagged Overcooked too. So there's some great deals that they've definitely worked on behind the scenes to make this initial launch portfolio just look rich and varied. So yeah, great list of games, especially if they're all included. Like, you can't argue for that entry price point, right? But no, I would love to play them on Stadia, but we shall see. We've still got time.
Absolutely. Chase, how about you? Which game interests you the most on this list?
I think it's pretty straightforward for me. It's Control. It's a game that I wanted to play, and I just didn't pick it up because I wasn't really console gaming. I think the other game that really kind of stands out to me is the Castlevania collection. And it's not even game; it's the collection. So, I want to add to what MM was saying, because I think this is going to be a battle of ideologies. Stadia's ideology is we're a place where you can buy individual titles. This ideology is it's channels. We're going to give you content for a price. And it's not just one piece of content, it's multiple pieces of content.
Right.
And how do I say this the right way? Amazon has taken a step back on this and just kind of looked at everything and said, what did Stadia do well? What did Stadia not do well? And I think the interesting part here is they're saying, hey, Stadia might be the place where people go buy individual games, but we're going to be the place where you're going to get the best value for your dollar in regards to content in totality. And we're going to have to see how that ideology plays out. Who's going to win? I don't know. I really don't know who's going to win that out, but it's very interesting.
Absolutely. Eddie, how about you?
It is very fun that Control showed up on this list, because I almost picked up Control 2 days ago on Epic, because there was a great deal and I have a coupon. So I almost got Control. I didn't got it yet. But yeah, Control is number one on the list for me. Together, I would say I have Overcooked 2, all of the DLCs on the PS4. But so I love that game. I would be playing on cloud gaming for sure. From this list, I also have Sonic Mania.
Shout out to Star Wars Pinball, by the way.
Yeah. Don't laugh. I've heard great things about it.
Tennis. I love a good tennis game. I didn't try AO Tennis 2. I know it released on February.
Actually, 2 on this. You got AO Tennis 2 and Tennis World Tour. So looks like Luna's coring the market on tennis games. So,
ooh.
But basically that's the ones.
So how do you grade the launch list, Eddie? It almost looked like you're struggling just to kind of.
I am, because well, there are a lot of games here that I already had it before, just as side discussion, but same thing going on with the PlayStation collection. For people who want a library of games such as you have on Game Pass, I think they are taking the advantage. All right, people are praising Game Pass because you have access to a ton of games.
Yeah.
So we're giving you 50 games as well, and there's a little bit of everything. 2 Points Hospital, I know a lot of people like that game as well. And it is on the list. So it gives a little bit for every man.
Does it?
Yeah, I'm with Eddie. I mean, again, not to take away from anybody that wants to play the country and buffet style of game, and that's a restaurant here in the States to keep us overweight here. But a lot of people, they don't want it's quality over quantity. They like to take their few games, 2, 3, 4, 5, in my case, games a year, and just hunker down in them. I don't see anything outside of Control that really shakes up that dynamic. So if I give it a grade, I mean, it's just starting off. Not to hate on it, I give it a C minus. Maybe I'll give it a C. All
right, I'm going ahead. I'm gonna click the button. I'm gonna place the order for Control my PC. I will have it on Epic, and then I'll decide what I do. But the good thing is I am paying right now 26 Canadian dollars, which would be equivalent to 22, I would say.
Not bad.
Or about that on US dollars. And I will have purchase Control. Maybe I'll play on GFN. We'll see.
Chase, how do you grade the launch list?
I think it's higher than a C. I think it's a B. And it's because of the fact that you've got a collection in here. You've got some games that there's people that they're going to want to play these. And again, I don't think that this is what we should be looking at from the Amazon thing. I know we're looking at it in the now. What I'm more interested in is what happens when they have a much larger publisher aside from Ubisoft. What if they get an Activision deal and you get all the new Activision games, like a new Call of Duty plus the older Call of Duties? That will make people look at this. Yeah, they may want to buy their individual titles, but if they get Black Ops 3 and they get the new Black Ops Cold War, you don't think they're going to take that up for that $15 a month, maybe only keep it for 2 months and then move on? They will. And that's what Amazon's looking at. They do want to retain people, but they also are not going to be greedy at the same time of saying, hey, if we keep them for 2 months, that's $15, that's $30 we didn't have before.
Yep.
So,
but surely it's just going to be retention in the overall service as opposed to particular channels. That's what they're going to be looking at. So
exactly.
by basically like taking a shotgun and just having a shotgun type approach to this and literally just hitting like as many different markets as they possibly can, that's how they're looking to retain customers.
Well, and the other thing, Tom, is this introductory price. Eventually, I think it's going to be wrapped up into Prime. The base Luna Plus, I think, will be a part of Prime automatically, and then anything above that, they may have like a secondary tier that's like additional games that are like maybe more newer that you have to pay that additional price point for, and then they'll have the actual subscriptions that are on top of it, the channels. It just
I'm with you on that.
When you look at it, that's exactly what I think they're about to do.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, how do you rate this list?
It's still in beta, very close beta. So I think anything that comes out live with the caveat of beta attached to it, they get a kind of richer pass on things. I'll definitely come out and say it's better than Stadia's launch lineup, hands down, without putting a score on it. If this was what we had day one, there's a lot more.
We lost Chris.
I mentioned earlier, no brand new games. I know Valhalla's on the poster art, but it's not quite clear if it's just going to. I think they've said it's free with the Ubisoft Plus, which is it's a big get that. But in terms of just an initial library, I'd probably go with Chase with giving it.
I mean, are you under the impression, Chris, that it's going to be Uplay Plus, or it's just gonna be like a Uplay Plus Lite?
They've not. I don't think they've actually explicitly said what it is. Right. But the impression I've got from all their announcements is you pay for that additional Ubisoft channel for whatever the cost may end up being, and you get all the Ubisoft back catalog, whatever they've kind of set up for this, and then the new games day and date, a bit like Game Pass, but it's specific to Ubisoft. And then again, that throws it into the mix of like where value and budget and does buying a game or leasing it via a rental kind of setup work better. But I think we just need to see what these answers fully roll out, because then why would we buy Valhalla for $60, $70 when we could just add this channel on for the month and play it to our heart's content for what, $5, $6 extra?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting business model that for the value, what I'm looking at in me, that's huge.
Yeah, I know me personally, if I get put into this early access and Valhalla's a part of that, but Uplay Plus still not on Stadia, I might know where I'm playing as long as this holds up.
Yeah.
Brian, we just gotta make sure that Valhalla is part of that, but it's part. It's not part of the official launch. They said it's gonna be when Valhalla drops. They're releasing. They're starting the early access in early October. Valhalla launches on November 10th, and they're saying the Ubisoft channel will be available by November 10th. But they didn't share any details on how it's gonna be, how much is it going to be,
right?
Neither anything.
Is Valhalla the only Ubisoft game part of their like poster art? The one that we
they have Watch Dogs Legion, but also they have Watch Dogs Legion on the poster, but also they kept on their communication saying about Phoenix Rising.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
So, and I even shared that tweet. So they're saying whenever Valhalla launches, you guys will be able to pick it up and play Valhalla on our Ubisoft channel. And the same thing as Phoenix Rising. But they haven't mentioned anything about Watch Dogs Legion. And we know Watch Dogs Legion launches on October 24th or 28th, if I'm not wrong.
29th.
29th.
Yeah, it's the same day as Sekiro, I think.
Yes.
On Stadia.
So what I take from that it is they're launching the service on early October to a few people who have been selected to be part of the service. But the Ubisoft channel will arrive together with Valhalla or a few days before Valhalla.
Yeah, it's gonna be
it's an interesting business model just to see how all these different prices are approached, because if Amazon Luna, as we've referenced, forms part of Prime, I can just visualize this world where Amazon, as we all know, has the biggest digital storefront on the globe. And there's
scalping from everyone.
Yeah, you have Valhalla to purchase on your traditional PlayStation 4, Xbox, whatever. And right next to that is, we know where you usually get the traditional Select Edition, Special Edition, Gold Edition, whatever. And right there, it's going to have a click-to-play logo that's going to go bang. And you're into Luna from the Amazon storefront playing Valhalla. And all it says is $5.99 Ubisoft channel. Go. No downloads, no installs, no updates. And it's such an easier get in without having that global massive storefront already, and it's a threat. It's an imminent threat.
It's fundamentally what I hate about this right now. It just goes against everything that I like. It's so convenient. I hate how convenient it's going to be.
Don, can you imagine like there will be tons or it will be hundreds or even thousands of people streaming Valhalla when it launches on Twitch.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a button. Click and play here. Sign up for the Ubisoft channel on Luna.
You know what data we really need to have, though, that's going to make this conversation even bigger and explode even further, is how many Fire Sticks and how many Fire TV devices are in households already. We're not talking about you have to go purchase. Already. And look at what they did. They didn't force you to do a controller and a dongle. What they said is, use what you already have, use your Bluetooth controller, you're ready to roll. How many of those devices are already in established households? Because that's, again, we talk about removal barrier to entry. They have literally done that with how they've done this here. It's crazy. I would love to see the data, because I think that would make this just even more compelling about looking at it from how is Google where they're at versus this. And I'm not putting Google down. I'm just saying, when you're looking at the two of them, you want to look at those data points to see what's the differences. How is it shaping up between the two companies?
But Chris had a very good point when Chris said about the channels, because we know so far there's going to be a Ubisoft channel and a Luna Plus channel.
Mm-hmm.
What if they create, all right, this is our RPG channel, this is our FPS channel, when they do a bundle of games from different publishers? It's not going to be probably just publisher based. It could be by genre basis. So I love to play platformers, so I sign up for the platform channel. I have access to all of these titles here from different publishers by paying a fee for the genre that I love to play.
So not to get too inside baseball on it, but do you think that for that, guys, they'd have to cut a deal specifically with the publisher?
Yeah, to me, I think that's where it gets a little messy, where you would probably do an RPG channel, but you'd probably pick like 3 publishers, because you're splitting the pie 59 ways, and that just wouldn't be sustainable unless, and it wouldn't be hard to fathom unless the RPG channel is $29.99 a month. And you may have some diehard RPG people that'll pay that, but I'm thinking more in a sustainable price. Mm-hmm. Litmus, like a $15. Nah, you're doing this with 3 publishers. There's no other way to sustain it.
Fair enough. So, what do you think about the launch lineup?
Well, here, what I did is I put the old launch lineup here, the Stadia one, just to say this is going to be the distinct difference. If you look at the launch lineup of Stadia, again, it appeals more to the. When I say quality, I'm talking about AAA games. It appeals more to the AAA gamer, than the buffet gamer. But here's the thing: number one, you have more, so that the list just looks bigger. But the thing that's on Luna's side is that I only pay one price to access all this. Yes. That's where I think. You're going to see the cross benefit of Luna opposed to everyone else, where they're a danger to everyone else. I mean, I can originally look at this and say, you know what, I really don't care for these games. Oh, $5.99, cool. Opposed to where you look at Stadia and you're like, oh man, the games these have games that I really want to play, but I got to pay for them individually. Red Dead Redemption 2, what, $60? Nah. And that's where they're a threat to everyone. I know Game Pass is a value too, and I was just saying this on Twitter, but can you imagine if I subscribe to the Activision channel, the 2K channel, and like you guys say if there was an RPG channel, that's all of my gaming wallet bandwidth. I'm not paying money anywhere else. So again, I want people I want this to just soak in people's memories and minds to realize this isn't just a threat to Stadia. This is a threat to everybody.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to echo on your point there as well and throw it back to our discussion, what Chase raised a minute ago. CNET reported on the 7th of Jan earlier this year that as of that date, there were 40 million Amazon Fire TV devices in use as of early January this year.
Woo.
Yeah, that is huge. But you're absolutely right, I think one of the things that you have to take away from this is essentially how groundbreaking this is going to be, or how game-changing, I should say, pardon the pun, it's going to be for the entire industry in terms of retail of video games in general. Like, this is seriously going to have huge implications. Yep. As you say, just imagine a giant funnel with all of the gaming money just going into Jeff Bezos' pocket. That's basically what's going to happen here.
Yep. Can I just want to throw one more thing in there just to add to Tom's point, which is superb. Yes. I've been testing these cloud gaming devices or solutions for years. Opposite of Stadia. Of course, Stadia was only available through Project whatever the hell it is, Project Stream.
Yep.
And then I almost called it Project Storm. Sorry, Storm. Project Stream. And then, when it became retail available at Stadia. And what I did is I took all of them and I tried putting them on the Fire TV Cube, which is a high, the specs on it are high. And I was able to do it until one day I got an update and none of them could play. Amazon had blocked all of them. So what they're even doing is they're taking the Fire Stick, the Fire Cube TV, all of these devices that are in millions and millions of homes, and they're blocking your ability to play all the other stuff on it too, which that is big because I used to play Metro on my Fire Stick via the Steam app and stuff like that, and they just blocked it all. So they're looking to make some serious inroads with just their product, and they're using their footprint to make their mark. Definitely.
Absolutely. So one quick question I want to throw to you guys. Tom, we'll start with you. Do you think we are going to see Amazon sell games individually like Stadia does, or it's only going to be subscription based?
No, I think it's going to be subscription based. I think your analogy of a channel, a cable package, is probably the best analogy out there. That's the way I see it. Like you pay, or you don't even have to pay for the base for just Luna itself. It's just going to exist on the Fire Sticks, and then on top of that, you can get Luna Plus. You can get all of your different channels as you see fit. But I don't think you're going to have any opportunity to actually outright buy individual games. There's nothing that's been said about that, so it's just purely my speculation. But I don't think that's their game. I don't think that's what they're going for. What they've done is they've looked at what happened with Stadia. They've essentially taken the general consensus of what's been said out there in the wider world about the way that Stadia was interpreted from releases, almost like the Netflix model and so on, or like that sort of misunderstanding of it. And they've tried to adapt it in a way that will work for them. So that's realistically what I see them doing.
How about
not
you,
Netflix for gaming, just to be clear, not Netflix for gaming, but the channels.
Gotcha. How about you, MM?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Do you think Amazon's going to sell games individually eventually?
Oh, no. I agree with Tom. No, this is it. It was already said that by one of the execs. I forgot who they were interviewed by, but they said, no, we looked at our Amazon channels for our videos, like HBO. Like they have a astronomical rate where 60% of HBO's channel content comes from Amazon. You know what I mean? So that, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Tom is absolutely right. This is the model to go with. They've seen where you have the likes of a Jason Schreier, and I was just glossing over what our good friend Paul Tassi was saying. It doesn't make sense to buy games individually on the cloud, all this silly stuff. And they said, you know what? We don't even want that smoke. We're not even going to do it. We know what works. We're sticking with the channel. So I think Tom is absolutely right there. That's what they're going to go with.
How about you, Meg?
I agree. I think Amazon loves subscriptions. They constantly try to get me to subscribe and save on their website. I don't know if you guys get that. And I finally did it and was like, fine. So now I have like the subscription of stuff just like sent to me every 2 months. So yeah, I think they're smart. They see that the value in subscribing to something, and then that's it. You're paying every month and you get used to that service and you don't want to give it up. And I think it's really appealing because now this is right or wrong, but I hear this all the time. People say, why do I have to pay my games on Stadia if I'm paying a subscription? Now, we all know you don't have to have that pro subscription because we understand Stadia, but a lot of people don't see that. So they're going to look at Amazon and be like, what is it? $5-6 a month as of right now in this early access thing. I get access to all these games, and that's so much more appealing to them than Stadia, where they're like, wait, so I'm paying each month and then I have to buy my games? Like it doesn't really make sense. And I think their lineup is great. This is just what they're starting with. It's not even officially launched, and the titles look better than what Stadia launched with. I would give those games a B+ because I was just personally excited about a lot of them. And I was like, I would do this if it was in Canada for sure. Yeah. So, and I have a Stadia only channel. I never stream or post anything other than Stadia. I'm so dedicated to it. But this Luna, I was like, oh my God, I think people are going to love it. It's like what they expected Stadia to be. So I agree with what you guys were saying, that they really looked at like what Stadia did and the reaction to it and was like, how do we avoid all of these pitfalls. It's kind of clever that they waited because they kind of got to see Stadia kind of stumble through their launch, and now they're able to kind of fight that misinformation with their own model.
The lion and the Serengeti.
To add to what Meg was saying, it feels like Stadia paved the way for cloud gaming.
Yeah.
Because everybody would be a non-believer saying cloud gaming, it's impossible to work. It's against the laws of physics, as I receive a comment in every single video of mine. And now that cloud gaming is working with Stadia, we had cloud gaming beta from Xbox, and we have Amazon. There is some other providers coming here and there, smaller than GeForce now. But now that it's proven that cloud gaming works, people would start to talk about business models. And a lot of people put criticism on Stadia business model because they say, no, so I have to buy my games, etc. So they're giving the option right now where we have access to a library of games, or you have to pay a subscription to, in the case of the Ubisoft, you pay a subscription to have premium games, let's say this way. The other thing that we don't know, it's, let's say EA is coming to the service. We know that EA right now it's on Game. It is already, or will be on Game Pass. On Game Pass.
Yes, it's not there yet, but it's on its way.
EA Play is, but not the
EA Play is, not Origins. It's not the Origins model,
right? So we don't know if like an equivalent for EA Play will be arriving on Luna. And we don't know the terms. What the terms are going to be? Is it going to be the terms just as EA Play on on Game Pass, or it will be something closer to Ubisoft with a higher price?
Mm-hmm.
So we got to keep a look at that. And Chase gave it a good shout. Do you guys remember Project Atlas?
Vaguely. That was EA's cloud.
It was
idea, right?
Yeah.
I think that what Prime is going to do, and I know, and shout out to Lloyd in the chat. Shout out to him being there of Stadia Cast. He said, I originally thought the way Lloyd thought, like there has to be another model, like maybe an a la carte model. But I'm thinking that Amazon's thinking this way. Look, we got the best cloud service out there, period. I mean, we have the most saturation as far as cloud services being utilized out there, period. People say Microsoft's cloud is the best, but commercial, as far as commercial success is concerned. And I see them just sending people around to different studios, different, publishers. Look, guys, THQ, you're killing it this year, man. You want your own game? You want your own version of Game Pass? We can help you. Give us your Windows x86 version of your games. We'll upload them. You guys can kill it. Charge $17.99. Give us $3 a month out of that, out of each subscription. And man, you guys can destroy it. There you go. Here goes a fire stick on us. I look. So
40 million and one.
Yeah, exactly. And again, Amazon is willing to make those smaller initial deals. Maybe not come so much out of the red at first. And as that subscription model rises over time, when it goes from $15.99 to $16.99, then their portion will rise. And I think that's what they're going big. They're not doing like the EA Access where you get a couple of games in the vault and you get to play Madden 95. They ain't doing that. They want all the big gusto games out there so you can charge top dollar and they can skim more off of that. I think that's what they're going to do.
100% agree.
Brian, if we may talk about the technical parts, because I know you wanted to talk about that, right?
Absolutely. So, Chase, would you mind leading this one for us? I'll bring up John's article from over at Best Buy in Canada, right, Eddie?
Yep.
That's right.
Hey.
Yep. So they are they're leveraging the AWS Windows server interface. So if you're not familiar with Amazon, what they do is they use what are called containers. And these containers, they can actually leverage them and use them in different ways. Some are more dedicated towards like call center technology. Some are more dedicated to higher end server infrastructure, for companies to actually house websites or house data warehouses. And what they can do is they can actually do a lot of what's called PMP, plug and play. So they can change out things on the fly. And it's all because it's all Windows interfaced. We know that that's easier for developers because they can just take a game that they've already developed on Windows and easily port it over into one of these Amazon containers fairly easily. So here on the actual breakdown, they're using the NVIDIA T4 GPU that provides about an 8.1 teraflop rating of performance. It can support ray tracing, which is very interesting. We'll see out of the gate where that's going to go, or if that's something that they're going to do an upcharge on. Some of the other things that I thought was very interesting is they're using the standard, it's the x86 infrastructure. So those are pretty standard CPUs across the board for most pieces of infrastructure. And I'm pretty sure Stadia actually uses something similar. So it's just the difference of the porting piece. And we were talking about this before we went on the air, that Stadia uses Linux, and Linux it's got a lot more pieces to it in order to move a game onto it and develop and leverage it. These containers and the Windows interface, it's a low barrier to entry to move these games over. And the other thing that makes it interesting is, while yes, Stadia is going to be, and again, I'm not saying one's other than the other, I'm just doing comparison. Stadia is going to be developing games on their infrastructure, right? That's their model. Amazon's model isn't to develop. Their model is, we're going to continue to increase the infrastructure, make the infrastructure better over time, and put whatever the latest and greatest game is that's already been developed out there onto our infrastructure without having to worry about that development cost. They're just playing dollars and cents here. And to an earlier point, somebody was talking about the money aspect. You talk about Microsoft dropping $7.5 billion. Amazon drops money like it's nothing. They just write checks. That's what they do. So they are playing a very smart game here of a dollars and cents and God, I lost the what I was going to say. They're playing the move of, how can we get the maximum potential for the lowest dollar value? And that's exactly what they're doing here.
Yeah, I think a lot of what Jay said there just goes back to playing the long game. We've said a few times now that cloud gaming is in its infancy. And Eddie mentioned that Stadia's led the path, and then the other people have followed, xCloud Beta. Now we've got Amazon Luna. We've got to remember, Phil Spencer himself came out and said the competition is Google and Amazon. It's not Sony and Nintendo. And I think now we're starting to see the fruits of that work kind of starting to bear its ripeness, because just look at the technology they've invested in, and like Chase said, the infrastructure that they have and the customization of it, and then compare that with the infrastructure Google has behind us. Because let's not kid around. Google have an amazing,
the greatest face ever.
His face.
Amazing.
Did I freeze?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did.
I don't even. I'll watch that back.
Timestamp is about 50.
Unfortunately, my local servers aren't quite up to par with Stadia and Google. But in terms of that, yeah, it's huge. Like Xbox, look at how they've changed their drastic business model going forward for next gen. And now you've got Luna coming out with this channel-based model, and Stadia doing their business model. But it's all in the cloud, pushing towards subscription service. I think everyone in the chat who's saying subscription's a boss, they are. We've said many times in our podcast, every other industry has fallen to a subscription model. Music, television, they've all done it. Games are surely the next one to go. And I think with this in the pipeline, playing the long game, in 10 years' time, these guys aren't going anywhere. These big players aren't going anywhere. They own the internet. Difference for me is just
exactly the same.
That was impressive. You are consistent. you froze again, Chris. That's what we're referring to.
Well,
good point. Good point, though. They do. They do.
Absolutely.
Just making it.
Well played, sir.
Are you trying to do a Jeff Keighley impression?
Funny.
I'll tell you when pre-orders are up.
So
he actually has a Luna controller on a shelf right now. You just can't see it.
Who did that? Was it shoot, Phil Spencer did that, didn't
Phil
he?
Spencer with
the Series S.
So
4K is not up front so far, is that right?
1080p, and it's just advertised straight up 1080p. They said that they're looking at pushing it out to 4K 60 in the future, but they're not making any promises straight out the gate. Who did?
Won't say who. But a quick question: do you think it'll be an additional cost, or it's just going to be automatically included?
I bet it will be automatically included when it comes out. They're just going to say, "This is our upgrade." There you go. Because again, I think they learned from Stadia not to say. that was such a big deal. They said 4K, and then all these games came out, and everybody was like, but it's not 4K. Oh my God. So Luna's like, yeah, it's in 1080p. There you go. That's what you get. And then surprise. And I think people don't like having to pay for that 4K in Stadia. I think it seems like they just want to have a reason to pay for that subscription. And I think that Luna's smart. They're not going to make that same mistake.
I think I've had 4K on maybe like a handful of times because I'd rather have 60 frames if that's an option. I barely use 4K to begin with. So, I mean, for me personally, I don't care unless it's 4K 60, but that's not entirely achievable just yet across the board. So, yeah. Anything else you guys want? Yeah, go ahead, Eddie.
I have a question that I don't know if anybody on the panel can answer. Everything that we talked about, Luna $5.99, it's Luna Plus, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yes. What is Luna Basic or Luna Base or Luna No Plus?
I think it's limited gameplay, probably with half of that selection somehow, but you still probably got to have Prime. That's the way I look at it.
100%. And I'm spot on.
So I still have to have like a subscription somehow with Amazon, but just by having a subscription, I have access to a handful of games, not Luna Plus.
Yeah, they could just reverse engineer the Stadia model. So everyone who's got an Amazon account, you've got an entry level of games, but if you've got Prime, you get Luna included. There's your Stadia Pro subscription, and then if you want even more, here's the channels piecemeal fed to you if you want them games.
So something like Epic does, that they give free games every month. You guys are saying that Luna base version will have few free games every month.
I don't know if there is gonna be a base version, to be honest.
I think it's going to be like this. So let me just to put some like clear, definitive, and this is speculation. We don't know, obviously, but Prime will be the base level, like at the minimum. You'll have to have Prime to at least access it. They may have some trials and stuff where you can get on and actually. Yes, go ahead.
You have to have Prime. Is that including for Luna Plus as well?
No, I'm going to get into that. So Prime is the base entry level. Like you have to be. Eddie's shaking his head, but I'm telling you, they are going to do this for Prime. The intent is about selling subscription. Go ahead, Tom. You're shaking your head too. I'll let
I'm completely with you on this. I know exactly where you're going, and I'm with you 100% of the way, mate.
Their whole listen, guys. You got to look a little bit deeper than where we're at with the gaming side of it. Their thing is they want to sell you on an ecosystem. It is clear. Look at their marketing. They keep talking about Alexa. They keep talking about integration. They want you to buy into their ecosystem, and they're trying to put Google out of the conversation. That's what this is. It's clear as day when you look at it, to me at least, again, from the marketing side of it. So I think they're going to do Prime as the base. That's going to be where you get the minimum amount of games. You then have to move up to Luna Plus for an additional charge. You'll get a larger catalog of games, and then you can a la carte add on channels. That's what I think they're going to do.
Yep. And let's not forget too that they say unlimited. So I think you're going to have to be a Luna Plus subscriber in order to get unlimited. I think just to, like Chase said, the Prime subscription will get you 5 hours at a time, something like GFN. So I think what they're doing is they're taking the most sustainable pieces of all the services so far, and they built it into their channel model, and there is Luna. But I agree with Chase on that one.
Okay, am I understanding this right? You would have to have Prime no matter what for both of them. Is that what you're saying?
I think so.
Yes, correct.
I thought what you were saying is that you have to have Prime for the base one, but for Plus you wouldn't need it, so it'd be cheaper to get all of it. But
no.
Okay, I got you. Okay, I'm with you now. Okay.
So Prime is the base. Whatever you pay for Prime, you get all the video stuff and everything else that you normally get with Amazon.
Got it. Okay,
then spend the $5.99 to get onto Luna Plus. Jeez. And then you can a la carte everything else. That's basically what I think is going to happen.
Yep, I agree.
I just look at some numbers here that is interesting, just to back up what Chase is saying. It's by Statista, and the total number of households in United States with an Amazon Prime subscription. By the end of this year, it's predicted to be 71 million households.
Bingo!
In the States alone?
Yep.
Holy.
Yep. That's more
quite a few.
than 50% of U.S. households.
Yeah.
Nice.
Eddie, you were thinking the exact same thing. I've got the exact same website just up now to check the numbers, and you were not wrong. Not wrong.
Not
but
wrong.
Again, back to my previous point as well about that physical presence, which you guys discussed on last week's episode or last fortnight's episode about the being a physical existence of Stadia. Luna, every single person, all these millions of people who are getting their day one delivery sent out, they just have to drop a little slip in there, go and try this game. Here's a voucher to get Luna Plus for free, or whatever that ends up looking like. Everyone who's getting their CDs delivered, their furniture, their random face masks, whatever they're going to order between now and Christmas, here's a little tiny purple voucher that entitles you to early access or 3 months of free Luna physically in your house, sat on your desk, left out on your kitchen table, in the rubbish, but it's in your mind. It's physically there for you to see. Whereas Stadia is just floating around in the cloud doing God knows what. And I honestly think that's the key difference. It's that physical presence. Yes, everything's digital, but that physical, visual nature of something gets it in your hand, and then it's in your mind's eye. It's in your subconscious. And when your kids start asking what it's about, it's talked about. And hey, we've got Prime, so we've got it for free as well. That physical presence cannot be denied. And I think Amazon having the physical presence very much under the thumb already, it's a huge differentiator between Stadia and Luna.
Yeah. So
Stadia. Amazon, go ahead, MM.
No. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say they know how to pile value onto their subscriptions, because I signed up for Prime just for the free 2-day shipping, which is really like 3 days. But anyways, just for the free shipping, I signed up. And then they're like, oh, and you get a free Twitch sub each month. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, because I like Twitch streams. Oh, and you get all this loot for your games. You get to claim all this free stuff in Red Dead and Destiny, all these games I already play. So I'm like, oh, cool. And I got this free armor. And then they're like, oh, here's a bunch of free games you can play too. And I'm like, wow, I just signed up for free shipping, and now I get all this gaming related stuff. So yeah, if they wrap Luna into that, I mean, that's gonna, you're on board already, and then you're like, oh, for an extra whatever, I get to play all the Ubisoft games, and there's all my favorite games on there. Oh, and now everyone's playing Call of Duty. I can do this Activision thing. Like, they're smart. They know what they're doing.
It's definitely a force to be reckoned with everybody. Now, I think if this skyrockets and Google, well, I'll say this, Google, for all intents and purposes, is trying to compete more with the console market now, and they're trying to knock that out of the box. Like, they're trying to give you a way that you can game like you're on a console without having to pay for a console, and they're trying to give you a way to see development at all new heights more than you are seeing on consoles. So whether that's going to be successful for them in the end or not, I don't know. But what can't be understated is the potential growth that Luna can see so much faster than anything, than everything. Again, because of like what like has been said about, like what Chris was saying about the saturation of Fire Sticks and Fire TVs in the home. Because like what Meg said, you go get a Prime subscription and they're giving you Twitch streams and your own free island and a boat. Just everything that comes along with the name Amazon is going to be so instrumental in this that it's gonna skyrocket if they do. If the performance is good, then this is gonna skyrocket.
One thing that, by the way, that was brought here on chat by Lloyd. So Amazon doesn't even need to waste a lot of money on printing materials. They could easily print stuff on their labels, on their boxes that it's already shipped to every single household. Especially during this pandemic times, there's gonna be a lot of people buying online for Christmas season. We don't know if by Christmas season it will be a little bit more open, this early access or not. But one thing that I would like to highlight, it is Twitch. Because Meg talking about Twitch, and I saw one article, I don't remember if it was, I just remember, it was from The Verge, which was comparing all of the cloud gaming services. And that article explained that right now, Amazon is not making any comments on Luna and Twitch. There was the demo we saw on their website, but they are not saying that Luna will arrive on this early access with those features already integrated.
Interesting.
Yeah, because all they've talked about is watching streams on Luna and then going to Luna from Twitch. That's at least on the official webpage for
Right.
it.
Oh.
So, but I mean, I would imagine because Crowd Choice is essentially coming to Baldur's Gate, not next week, but the week after, on Twitch for PC. So I'd imagine some way it's going to be integrated with their actual games.
Yeah, probably something similar. Oh, I had one thing about what Eddie said.
Yeah.
My boxes last year, the tape that they used was Amazon Prime Video tape. So this year it'll probably be Amazon Luna tape. That is all the boxes are taped with, and then you're like, "What's this?" As you slice it open to get to your eyeliner. But yeah,
Just getting that.
All right, so here's the question, because obviously it's a cloud gaming service. Next Wednesday, Google is going to have an event. Now, I don't know if many of us anticipated Amazon coming out with a cloud gaming service this week at all, as a part of like talking about Fire Sticks and everything like that. So now with this happening, Tom, do you think we'll see anything Stadia related now next Wednesday?
I don't think we'll see anything Stadia related next week. I don't think it's the event for that. I think we will get the official release of the new Chromecast. Now, interestingly, Chris sent me a video earlier in the week of the UI of the new Chromecast, which very interestingly looks exactly like Stadia's UI, only it has a search feature.
Oh, come on.
So I'm wondering whether the UI team that was working on Stadia is the same UI team overall, and whether we can hope that that feature is going to finally come to Stadia. Fingers crossed. But it looks promising. It looks promising that we might actually get some sort of integration into the new device. But again, it's purely just speculation of me looking at it and adding 2 + 2.
Sure. We'll see a Stadia presence next week.
Who was that for?
MM.
Yeah, you went out for a second. No. And is it known about this whole thing about the new Chromecast? We talked. I know. Or should I keep my mouth shut on that? And I'm doing this live on air. But is it public knowledge, or is it okay to talk about some of the missing things that are with this Chromecast?
Spill the beans, man.
Spill the beans. Okay.
Are you talking about like Ethernet ports and stuff like that?
Yeah, Ethernet ports.
I think it's pretty much out there. And hope.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So as we've been getting all excited about this, this new Chromecast, it's apparent that there is no Ethernet port there, which is troubling to me.
Ethernet gate.
Yeah, Ethernet gate. Yeah, Ethergate. Yeah, Ethergate. And then from the earlier testing of this thing, now it could all change. The Stadia app doesn't work natively on this Chromecast Ultra. So, and it could be, we talked about this, it could be because it's a casting thing and Stadia is going to cast to it or whatever. But we talked about this, as far as like the hardware identity of it. Chris talked about this, like just it being there in an app presence, I think would mean so much for the average gamer. So, I mean, and the whole Ethernet thing is just mind boggling, but maybe they have something else in store for future Stadia plays on TV. I have no idea. I don't know anymore, but just wanted to throw those tasty tidbits out there.
I mean, it might have been another way. If it's going to come out at like a $50 cost, it might have been a way to keep that cost low, and they can just sell it as like an add-on for it. Yeah. I don't agree with that idea, because I think if it's a internet-based device, you should absolutely have the ability to hardwire it, but that's just me. Meg, do you think go ahead.
So do you want to hardwire your Stadia controller?
You know what I mean, damn it.
Damn it, Eddie.
Meg, do you think we'll see a Stadia presence next week?
I don't know. Maybe they'll mention it. We didn't think we'd see much about Stadia at the Ubisoft Forward, and then there was like this whole like thing dedicated to it, and we got our own island, and we got a free access, and it was so exciting, and it was like, oh my god. So I mean, maybe that would be awesome. We would love to see that. It is a little bit confusing that there's no Ethernet on this new Sabrina, because the number one thing when people say, oh, I tried Stadia and it didn't work, I say, well, did you plug it into the Ethernet, or were you using your crappy Wi-Fi router that your internet service provider gave you? And as soon as they plugged it in, it worked a lot better. So I don't know. I'm kind of surprised. I thought that they would have wanted to try to have people have the best experience possible on their product with Stadia. Like, how cool would it have been if there was a Stadia button on that little remote instead of Netflix and YouTube, which is cool, but yeah, so I don't know. My head says no, but my heart says maybe.
She stole my line.
Yeah, it's so perfect, Chase. It covers all the bases.
Eddie, go ahead and
Oh
speak.
yeah, Eddie, good point. Yes, I see what you're doing there. Yeah.
So there you go. You have your Stadia button on the controller.
Yeah, that is true.
But what? Never mind. Go ahead.
You know, ask the question, bro, please.
Well, no, it was gonna be a separate one. But go ahead and answer the question I've been asking everyone else.
But what if you're a peasant who doesn't have enough money to buy a Stadia controller?
Would you be playing on the remote controller?
All right, Eddie. Do you think we see anything Stadia related next week? Like even like a Connect announcement?
No.
Nothing. Not even a little bit.
Just probably saying this device supports Google Stadia. But it was hell of a weird that on the cardboard of the devices there wasn't a Stadia logo. So I don't know if that's a miscommunication.
Are you talking about on the packaging?
Yes.
I mean, the Chromecast Ultra doesn't. I mean, granted, that's an older device, but
I can answer why that is, but I'll wait.
Oh, please tell me.
Ooh.
Don't. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, he have the information. Please tell me.
So I think it's a lot simpler than that, and I thought about it the other day. This device is launching in countries where Stadia isn't. They don't want that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'd heard about that theory.
But that to be explained, packaging, it's not a universal packaging. Like I got my packaging here in English and French. So they could be printing packaging according to the country they're shipping to.
Rebuttal, Chase.
They could just use tape.
Just
like
use
Amazon. Stadia tape, the whole thing bundled up.
It works with Stadia, believe us. Chase, do you think we're going to see anything Stadia related next week?
So initially, I just want to say something. First of all these people out here that said that you got dev previews, you lied, because all the things that you said that you thought were on the device, either Google went back and changed things drastically, or you just didn't have anything to begin with and you were writing articles. I don't know which one it is, but it's a little frustrating because that's what we were basing a lot of this knowledge off of. But to make a couple of points. One, no, I don't think they're going to mention Stadia in a big presence. If they mention it at all, it'll just be, yep, it's compatible with Stadia, and they're going to move on. My concern is, one, what MM said about no Ethernet. It sounds like they might do the first generation Chromecast where you have to buy an extension, which really sucks. Two, I do not think that this is going to have native controller support out of the gate, because if there's no native app on it, how are you supposed to cast Stadia to it if you don't have, you know what I'm trying to get at? If you don't have the Stadia controller, I get you can do it from your phone, but that defeats the purpose of even having that dongle. Like it's supposed to be without having to use a device. So I don't understand the logic behind it. And then lastly, I know, Tom, I'm crashing.
I was just thinking, imagine if it was just a huge oversight, like just in true Google Stadia fashion. Imagine it was just a huge oversight.
I don't know. But
I forgot Stadia.
Hold on, Eddie, hold on. One more thing, and I promise. And the last thing that is like the most troubling of the entire thing to begin with is we don't know, like, is the device going to really work with Stadia at all? Like, is it? Like, now I question even that, because there's no proof out there that you can even cast to this thing and that it'll run Stadia if it can't even run the native app. So now we're in a really tricky, imagine if that happens next week. We're in a really weird place, y'all. And I don't even know what to say to that. I really don't. And again, you people that wrote these articles, you either better fess up that you didn't have the dev kits, or Google better own up that they went back and backtracked on stuff, because somebody's wrong here. You can't have all these articles floating out there saying that you had the developer previews and you had all this stuff, and now all of a sudden you don't. Sorry, I'm just venting. Go, Eddie.
So here's the deal. First of all, a simple update fixes everything. And you don't know the update that is being shipped with these things. And you don't know the version of the app, of the Stadia app. Just a simple update, and everything is running smooth. Now, why is everybody so pissed off about Wi-Fi on this thing when the Fire Stick doesn't have a Ethernet connection? It's gonna run on Luna, and nobody's venting about this.
I will say that the higher end, the Fire Cube TV, does the same Ethernet thing that the current CCU does. So because I have that, so yeah, you can hardwire that. So and I imagine a lot of the more hardcore gamers, they're going to get that Fire Cube TV because of the capabilities, and the fidelity might be a little bit better, and frame rates might be a little bit more stable. You know what I mean? So it's there with the higher end hardware for Amazon, and this is supposed to represent the higher end version of the Chromecast. So that's what I think the problem may be.
But Amazon just announced it yesterday, the Fire Stick TV 4K for $39.99, which runs 4K and doesn't have an Ethernet. So
the Fire Cube TV does though, and I think it's more powerful than that.
But did we heard anything about Luna running on Fire Cube TV or just Fire Stick TV?
It's on there, I think.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be on there. Yeah.
There's a list of devices it's ready for. Where to go?
See, the way that Amazon brands there is it's everything's called a Fire TV, but then there's the Fire TV Stick, the Fire TV Cube. You know, so
it's a family essentially.
And Cube will be compatible.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
I think the best thing to think is, once again, we need to get into this habit of not raising any sort of expectations whatsoever about the event next week.
Yeah.
Because if we do, we're just letting ourselves go for failure.
Mm-hmm.
So, just if it happens, it happens. Great. Fantastic. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we've said, Tom, a few times, like Google's such a large company. I think Chase has mentioned a few times, like the left doesn't know what the right's doing on a lot of occasion. And it's such a massive, massive network of smaller companies under the Alphabet umbrella that I would not be surprised if the people doing the stick, if anyone's seen the UI video, there is actually a games tab, and if Stadia does not sit in that games tab, you've got movies, TV, and games, and your own platform does not fall under that on the demo UI that I've seen. Clearly, left didn't talk to right in what probably should have been an important discussion when promoting your own platform. But again, this is the size that we're dealing with, and I wouldn't be surprised if Phil Harrison didn't even get an invite for the event, like an actual physical. Do you want to come along to this, Phil? Do you want to be involved? And he's just sat at home and he'll be surprised as everyone else.
Fair enough. All right, one last question here for you guys. How do we feel about this?
A Switch Pro wide
nice
controller up here.
Yeah, it's a nice reskin of the Switch Pro controller, isn't it? Really.
I was gonna say a Steel Series controller. I don't know.
Okay.
To me, I don't know.
Bring back Mad Cats.
Mad
Cats.
I love the purple-ish to it. What we do know, it's pretty much running exactly like the Stadia controller that runs off Wi-Fi, going through the cloud. Which I mean, I have no complaints about how the Stadia controller works. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I like the D-pad on this one better because it looks a little more comfy. The one on the Stadia controller is very rough and rigid. But the buttons the buttons look kind of cheap to me.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, my take on it is this looks like it should be listed on Amazon as one of the Amazon Essentials devices. You know, that like
the Amazon Basics.
Branded. Yeah, the Basics. There we go, the Basics branded.
Well, so it's going to be $50 in early access, and then after that, it's going to be $70 US.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if it's going to say it here. It doesn't. This runs on AA batteries, and you're spending $70 on it.
That seems kind of cheap and tacky to me.
Yeah.
Charge with a cord?
Yeah, but you know what their explanation is going to be? We have Wi-Fi technology in it that is proprietary and unique, and you're paying for that. Even though I agree, I don't think that should be $70. Because isn't the Xbox controller like either 60 or 50? We were talking about this the other day, Eddie. That the AA one.
Xbox is 60.
Yeah.
But the Stadia controllers, that's 70 as well. But that has a rechargeable battery. A very crappy one, but albeit it's there. I mean, it only lasts like 4 hours and it takes about 20 to charge. Yeah, I mean, we won't know until we get it in our hands or anything like that, but I don't know.
Do you think they'll get a Founders Edition?
I don't know if that's a route they'll go, because I think the controller's going to be optional. I think you're going to be able to just pretty much get an invite to the subscription, sign up for it, and you could play right away. You don't have to actually have their controller.
I think they are going to reward early because like they Amazon, when they've done other programs, and anyone that knows this better, just correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not an Amazon user, but I know my wife talks about it all the time. When they do these new startup programs, like these new initiatives, they generally reward people to say, thank you for giving us data. Like, thank you for taking part in the program. I can imagine that maybe you don't get a founder's edition, but maybe they give you some unique perks when you go out of the early access to basically say, thank you for giving us the data points that we did.
So maybe like a free month or two or something like that.
Yeah.
Something Amazon based.
I wouldn't expect anything like massive, but I think you may probably gonna get something out of it.
$8 off the controller right off the bat. So
I was just, while we're speaking of controllers, like if you don't get their package and you're just playing straight, playing with a third-party controller, Xbox or PlayStation, I highly urge you to use a PlayStation controller on Amazon. The latency and the lag of using an Xbox controller on the Fire TV stick, cube, rod, plate, whatever the hell you use, is astronomical.
Yeah.
So definitely use a PlayStation controller if you got one, if you're not going to buy their controller.
I wanted this purple.
Yeah, I do like the purple.
Those things are important to me.
Guys, let's make it purple.
Yeah, it matches my chair. Come on, I need it.
Nice.
All right, I lied. We have one more question for you then. So Tom, with this being announced and coming out, is there anything you see that Stadia is going to do to react to it? Do you think any change from like a business perspective, or they're just going to keep setting sail as they have been?
No, they're going to continue exactly the same way that they have been already. The only thing that I do expect them to do is I expect them to react relatively massively to the I want to say the UI experience and to the library. I don't think they're going to make any sort of big business changes in terms of the way that they conduct business or the way that we can expect the service to change. I just think that they are now going to have to seriously reconsider, or consider, I should say, where they take it next in order to actually compete with a service like this. Looking at the list of games that are available there, there's a lot of partners that Stadia already are essentially in bed with that I think they should now be looking and thinking, can we get some of those titles onto Stadia too? And secondly, I think they absolutely need to up the UI game very, very quickly.
Very quickly. Charles made a good point here in the chat. He said that Prime Day is October. Might coincide with Prime Day here in a couple weeks. What do you think? Do you think Stadia is going to react to this in any way, change anything, be influenced by them, or just going to keep doing what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this on the Unfiltered Boss episode last night, definitely check it out. If you're not a Boss member, shame on you. Yeah, we talked about this last night. They're easy peasy Sunday morning. They're like, oh, okay, that's nice. Our term is long term. I said this when I was yelling at my subscribers. Yes, I do that. So if you subscribe to me, you're going to get scolded. When I was yelling at my subscribers about them not knowing how cloud gaming is working, that I urge everybody to go to Jack Buser's interview with VG247, and in it, he explicitly says, the early adopters or the early people that play Stadia, the first year to play it, you might have a group of them that say, not so much for me. But you will be amazed 3 years later when they come back, they're going to say, oh my God, this thing is so much better than it was a year ago. And it's even better than my dedicated device. Mm-hmm. So I think with all this noise that's happening on the periphery, if you listen to what Jack Buser said, what Aaron Hoffman John has been saying, with not Shannon Studd still, but Jade Raymond have been saying, they're going long term. And I don't think that they're too worried about what these people do in the short term. They're looking at revolutionizing how games are being developed with Chimera and the Game Bus technology. And they might, whether it's right or wrong, they might look at all this current noise as silly. Now, again, right or wrong, I don't know. But I think that because they're going for the long game, they don't see a need to react to this until players purge in large numbers.
Yeah, because I feel like when you're reacting, you're giving that general sense that you are losing.
Yeah.
Am I far off on that? So I mean, they want to just kind of bob and weave and just do what they're doing and just keep on going.
Yep.
Meg, what do you think about is Stadia going to do anything to react to all this news, or just going to keep on moving?
I think they're just going to keep on moving. I think that if they had some hidden amazing thing that like they could just whip out, I mean, they should have done it already. So I actually don't expect them to have any, like, I think they're just going to keep going along as per their plans. I mean, I think they're doing their best and following their following their roadmap that they have hidden away in their business plans. So no, I don't expect any like major mind-blowing thing. They did their little 3 game announcement this morning. We're like, over here.
Little 3 game announcement, Meg. That was me.
Hey, you guys weren't even going to talk about those games, and I was like, let's talk about them because I'm excited for them. But I mean, compared to Luna, with this huge, all this news, it's nothing. So I don't know. I don't think Stadia has anything hidden away. They're gonna.
Meg said that Google put out their 3 little sliders next to Amazon's big old steak.
Yeah, they really did.
That is such a good analogy, MM.
But I think there's some honesty in that there, really, in Meg's take, because you're absolutely right. Like, they're just literally just going business as normal. Like, there is no point to change what they're doing.
BAU.
BAU.
Go ahead, Eddie.
It's gonna be business as usual. Right now, I'm starting to get into hype mode for the month of October, but mostly to the month of November, because there are too many coincidental things happening right now. Just as we have the coincidental of Sega and Xbox, they're teasing each other. Xbox launching a blue Sega controller and not revealing anything. I think there's too much coincidental stuff getting ready for Stadia down the line on November.
Are you saying there's a Sega Microsoft partnership?
Maybe.
A bit more of that Microsoft cash, yo.
Splash some cash. I don't know if you saw that there is a Xbox Blue controller.
I did see that. Yeah,
that is Sonic Blue.
It was weird. It was like tricolored, wasn't it?
It is, but it's literally the actual color code that Sega uses verbatim.
So
we'll let the Sonic expert here. Oh, fudge. That is Sonic. Shock Blue? That's a weird name.
Yeah. I mean, there is an anniversary coming up for Sonic. He's 20 years old, if I believe.
30.
Ooh, what date is that?
I say 20? That's me getting my own age
next year, right?
Next year's 30. This is the 60th anniversary of Sega as a company. But yes.
But anyway, we sidetracked a little bit. I feel like November is going to be a huge month for Stadia. I feel like after this conversation I had yesterday with MM, Chase, and Ashes to Ashes late night, I'm going to ask you guys before I follow up this question. When do you guys think we're going to have the demo from Phoenix Rising dropping? 4 weeks, 5 weeks before, 2 weeks before?
Whenever the Connect is, I'd hope. Like, it's available now.
Oh,
Here's an update on it. Follow it up with something like, play it right now. Here's the link in the chat. Go.
Yes.
Here's the link in the video.
Yes.
Quickly.
Don, what do you think in terms of time-wise, when that would happen?
6 weeks, maybe. I don't know why. That's literally just me like picking a number out of the hat and just going, there you go, have it.
Meg?
There's no logic to it. 6 weeks.
What?
When would you think the demo would drop before the game launch? In terms of weeks?
I agree with Chris at the Connect. I never thought about it. If you'd asked me first, I would have said like a week before it releases, so like November 25th or whatever. But to have it drop during the Connect, that would be so cool. Everyone would go crazy and immediately go over there, and everyone would sign up.
Brian,
what was the question again? Oh, and the demo would drop.
Yeah, how long before the actual game coming?
Let's, well, December 3rd is when the game comes out. Yeah, I could see it just shortly after the new consoles come out. So like that November 20th to 28th. I think a month is way too far out though.
And Chase convinced me yesterday that usually these demos for games drop 2 weeks before the game launches.
Yep.
Phoenix Horizon launches on December 3rd. 2 weeks before that, it's November 19th.
Which is when the PlayStation 5 goes global. I don't know.
Which is
okay,
Stadia
rub it
1
in.
year
Rub it
anniversary. Again, it goes too many coincidental things. November 19th, 1 year anniversary, Cyberpunk, maybe a Connect. I feel like they're setting up right now. Stadia, it's taking everything slow, and when it comes November, they're gonna ramp up and say, here is YouTube, here is Cyberpunk, here is the demo Phoenix Rising that you can play for free just with a Stadia account.
Wait, are you saying that Cyberpunk will be day and date? Because okay, so here's what I thought you were suggesting, that instead of getting Cyberpunk, we're gonna get a demo on the 19th. To me, that's not enticing at all. I don't
imagine if it all drops though.
Well, no. Wasn't Cyberpunk pushed? No, that wasn't Cyberpunk. That was AC Valhalla that was pushed up, right? Or was it Cyberpunk? I think Cyberpunk has been.
Cyberpunk is still by the end of the year for Stadia, isn't it?
Yeah.
Valhalla got pushed up to the Xbox launch.
Yeah.
So Eddie, are you changing your prediction for the Connect from October 13th at noon to November 19th at noon 05?
I'm not sure. What I'm saying right now is that November is gonna be big, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's when Stadia will start replying to everything that is happening in terms of new consoles launches.
Is this when they announce that they're out of early access?
Well, I mean, when we talked about the demo, you've played the demo for Phoenix Rising, right? You've got that months ago.
Yeah.
But I think November and the rest of the holiday season is going to be so busy. Personally, I think Stadia need to get out ahead of this, because if they drop this right bang in the middle of new console launches, these articles are going to get buried within sales, reviews going up for all these new next-gen games. I mean, come on, the Cyberpunk review is going to get in the way of a Stadia story at this rate on the 19th of November. And I think they run the risk of, again, the optics of being compared immediately. If you launch on PS5 launch day globally with a Stadia Connect, where do you think the Twitter threads and trending is going to go? It's going to be straight to the PS5. And I think they need to get out ahead of their anniversary and announce how they're going to compete with next gen. Whether that's their agenda, we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Happy Halloween.
Well, that kind of makes me think, like, we were just saying, like, oh, what's Stadia going to do about Luna announcement now? But, like, I feel that Google probably knew this was coming better than all of us. They probably knew this was going to happen. And wouldn't we say that September, this month, has been the best month for Stadia since launch? So maybe they already are doing things, and, you know, we're looking at it after the fact. But Google's like, yeah, no, we've been ramping up September. And it sounds like what you guys are saying, November is going to be amazing. October is probably going to be even better than September. Like, hopefully each month keeps topping it, right? So that they try to build up their platform as much as possible in the face of this Luna, this new imposter among us. Imagine if they put that on Luna, huh, Eddie? Huh?
To Meg's point, you'd be surprised who of the competition knows what. I mean, opposite maybe of Bethesda being bought by Microsoft, but you'd be surprised. I mean, I believe exactly what Meg says, because if you go back to Phil Harrison's interview with Jeff Keighley on with Gamer Ranks or whatever the hell that is, he made it. He threw it in there. It wasn't even prompted to ask for it. He said, "Yeah, we're gonna. Where Uplay Plus is gonna be on here. We're gonna approach other people and have subscription services on there too." I think that was their nod to saying, "Look, we know those channels are coming to Amazon, and we're gonna try to do it too. That Amazon might do it faster, but we're gonna be doing it too." So I think they were aware what was coming.
I think so.
I think the big picture to look at as well, when we're saying about Meg stuff's happening behind the scenes, it has to be because Microsoft can't go and drop $7.5 billion out of nowhere, and a company the size of Google have nothing in the pipeline of obviously not of that magnitude because they're not that far down the road as Xbox and Microsoft are. But there needs to be some investment, right, to kickstart this. They've been out nearly a year. It's kind of becoming stagnant. They need that next big push to say why people need to come to Stadia. We know it works. Now ramp it up with the marketing, and I think they need to go big year too. Otherwise, Luna could come and sweep them out of the way. Although I would like to caveat that with Luna has been shit on all over the internet, just like Stadia was as well, which is quite nice to see.
Chris, you know what I think they're doing, which I could be wrong, and I'm not saying it's right. I think that their initial investment, this first year or 18 months, is pretty much internal. I think they had X amount of games that they wanted to put out there. They're not being reactionary, whether they should or not. I'm not agreeing. And then what they're doing is they're basically saying, hey, it's all about our internals. We're going to invest the money into making the platform better. We're going to give you a couple of nice games for you to give us the data that we need to feed our AI and machine learning. And then when we're ready, we're ready. Again, right or wrong, I think that's just the way that they're moving forward. And it's going to be unfortunate to many. It might not be a thing to some, but unfortunate to many.
Can I say something real quick? I think something that, go ahead, Brian.
All right, go ahead. I already brought it up. Go ahead.
Okay. I think the thing that I did want to say here, and I've been very careful about how I've approached recently, because I tried to take a step back and look at what was Google doing, what's really, now that we know data collection, now that we know all these things, even though we know it, we get frustrated that, hey, you should let the general consumer know it. They don't really know this, but we know it now, right? I think the thing that I want to say here is Stadia doesn't need to worry about competing against Sony and Microsoft, right? They're not at a place where they can do that. And I think that's a fair way to talk about this. It's not fair to make that comparison. But when it comes to a cloud competitor, and we're talking about a brand new person in the marketplace, Amazon is direct in the now competition, and they have to be aware of it. It doesn't mean they need to go out and buy a $7.5 billion studio at an acquisition, but they need to start getting some smaller IPs on here and really, really start moving on that, like Rogue Company and some of these other games. They need to give people reasons as to why they should play on Stadia versus what might already be out in the ecosystems out there. And I think if they continue with this mindset that, oh, well, Amazon's really not that big of a deal. Again, I'm not saying to completely react to it, like you all said. Like, no, you need to keep your head down, and they absolutely will. They're not going to really change anything. But my advice to them would be, you gotta change something up, at least a small thing. It doesn't mean you got to change the business model, but you got to start throwing some more things in there to make people go, okay, this is why I should choose Stadia over Luna. This is why Stadia would be an option in the now, to start getting a small amount of mindshare, not millions of users, but maybe thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, right? I think that's really important. Again, no, they're not going to be at the level of Microsoft and Sony, but I think they definitely need to be aware of Amazon. And like MM said, everyone needs to be aware of Amazon right now. They're coming in with some serious capital behind them with that money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think it just goes back to the point that we raised earlier about like the whole, just the general ethos of Amazon in general, and the way that they operate as a business is that they are coming and they are going to be playing it big. Nobody can deny that. Like they have a plan for what they're going to do here. They're not just creating a new service just to sit on the side, just to generate a little bit of income. They're looking to dominate a market, because that's the way that Amazon works. That's what they do.
Exactly. So speaking of the market, when it comes to just cloud gaming in general, one aspect of the market that's not been hit is Apple, right? So for whatever reason, either Apple's blocking things or whatever the case may be. So one thing that popped up overnight was a new development for developers. I don't know what the hell it's called, but like a new update for developers, and it included an update for Google Stadia controllers, which that's kind of leading us to believe that maybe the support for Stadia is either on its way or it's just being able to use it for anything else. Mm-hmm. But in regards to what Luna's doing now, Luna's going to be able to have that native support kinda using Safari. Meg, was there something you wanted to touch on with iOS? And
yeah, well, I just think it was interesting because when I was reading through the Amazon page about Luna, it says it will be available on iOS devices.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mention Android. And I like, how is that possible? Because I thought that the Apple's whole deal was like, oh, streaming services we're not going to allow. Oh, except Luna, that's okay. And how do they not have support on Android? Like it seems so backwards and confusing. And I think that they're like, anybody with an iPhone, which is a lot of people, are going to just be so attracted to Luna because they can use it on their device.
Exactly. And I think it's an
so
iOS.
The web browser, so Chrome, but it doesn't have Android on there.
Yeah.
I can go on all the technical details, Mag, here if you want to.
Yes, explain it.
The difference here, first of all, it is via Safari web browser. It's not an application that goes via the App Store.
Oh.
You are going to the Safari, and it's almost like you're opening the Safari on an iOS device.
Okay.
Type in stadia.com and start to play. Why you can do this with Stadia? Stadia, technically speaking, they use a codec called VP9, which is a Linux-based codec, and it's not supported right now by the current version of Safari. Now, Luna will run with a codec much more popular called AVI, and AVI it's supported by Safari. So you will visit the website, let's say luna.amazon.com, and because you are on the web browser version and not an application that you download and install it via the App Store, you would be able to play the games via iOS. Now they're not having an Android app ready. That's kind of weird. But they said that there's gonna be one coming after launch.
So eventually it will be.
Yeah.
Can I tell you two things on this just real quick? I promise they're really quick. Number one, I think that API piece might be that the Stadia controller might be compatible with Luna. And that was something I was thinking about when I was reading through some of this. The second thing is, I think the reason that they might be limiting Android support is all about competition. Because think about it, y'all. If Stadia could get the access to how it runs on Android, they could then go in and start doing their own additions or own changes to what Stadia does. It's a way to try to say, hey, we want to limit how much exposure they have to being able to access development on the Android side of things, because the development for an iPhone is completely different than an Android device. So I think there could be some competitive reasons behind that too. And I just wanted to throw that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if I understood that, Chase.
Secrets.
Did that make sense about the competition piece? Everybody, or not really? Everyone's really quiet. So okay.
I didn't hear what you said.
Anyway,
so what I meant by that is that Google, if they have an iPhone, they can't transfer the coding, Eddie, from an iPhone to an Android. Like they can't take the proprietary pieces and move it to an Android device. So them blocking Android support might be more of a competitive reason of, hey, that does not allow Google to go in and see how we're doing what we're doing, how we're achieving the results, how we're doing the frame rates, all that stuff. So I think that could be the reason behind it.
And I have to disagree, Chase. When you do an application or APK breakdown, you don't get that level of detail. Those level of details are handled on the backend side on the servers. So on the APK breakdown, you only get the same information that everybody who does do, and it's not any proprietary coding that will sell the huge secrets of how an application works.
Yeah, that could be a lawsuit, couldn't it?
No, it's basically you can do an APK breakdown on every single app that you want to.
It wouldn't be
not a breakdown, but like getting like the innards of it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get the very details of everything.
Right. All right. So, first impressions of Luna. Tom, let's go with you.
I try to keep myself quite reserved about these things. My first opinion of it when I looked at it was it looked scary good. I think I posted on Twitter. But after thinking about it more, I think I'm going to sort of sit back and wait and see how the initial sort of reaction is from the US audience, the people who get into early access, because a lot of things can be overhyped from the get-go. and nobody's really had a hands-on experience yet to be able to talk about things like latency, using the controller or just accessing the service in general. And that's going to be a big player in this. We know from loads of reports online that everybody, like, no matter where they are in the world, wherever they're accessing Stadia from, xCloud from, GeForce Now, it always differs.
Yep.
But I think when a new competitor comes to the market, we just have to sort of wait and see and gauge how it's actually performing. So I'm sort of sitting back. I like the look of the library to begin with. I like the idea of the service. I don't necessarily agree with the business practice, but that's far beyond me to have any sort of ability to change that, because that is Amazon. So we'll see.
How about you, MM?
I think that it is potentially dangerous to everybody, like I said. But it boils down to two things. First and foremost, performance. I mean, none of this matters if it's dog crap. I'll just leave it at that. Or it's going to take its time during the data collection phase to build the AI, machine learning, all that stuff to get it feasible. Then again, like Tom just said, we jumped out of the window for nothing at the moment. And then secondly, it's going to come down to the value proposition of each of these channels. I said this last night, definitely, become a boss member of Twos, because it was a great show. I said, okay, if the channel, like if the Activision channel is $19.99 and I'm getting 13 games or something like that, that may not be a great value proposition to the average gamer. But if it's $10 a month and you're getting the top Activision games, oh, hell yeah. And if all of the other channels run under that value proposition, then like I said, my entire wallet bandwidth, I'm trying to coin that phrase, my wallet bandwidth is absorbed and it's a wrap. But again, it comes down to the value proposition and the performance. Until, like Tom said, we won't know until we get this thing in our hands. So we'll have to see. And we get more info. So we'll have to see.
How about you, Meg?
Well, yeah, and that makes a good point, like assuming it works. So I'm just assuming that Luna works as well as Stadia, and it's responsive and there's no lag and it looks good and everything. I think it's amazing. I think it's extremely appealing. I have no interest in any of the other, in like PC, not PC, PlayStation or Xbox or anything, but this Luna announcement is really exciting. I think they have a lot of great value. I think they have a lot of games. I think it's just so accessible because everybody has got something involved with Amazon, because they have their fingers in so many places. Pies? What's the saying? Anyways, so
Fingers
yeah,
and
I think right. So I think it's gonna be really, really cool to see how the service does. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Eddie?
Let's test it out, find it out how it works, or better, you guys test it out for me, because
yeah.
Sorry.
But hey, Meg, we'll be able to test Starlink before then.
Yeah, Starlink. We'll see. They asked for my address. Who knows?
Yeah, US is far behind internet everything. We have data caps. Yeah. We have crappy everything. But Chase, what are your first thoughts?
I agree with everything the panel said. I mean, there's a lot of things we still need to know about it. We need to know the technical aspects of it. I think Lloyd did a really good job in the chat of explaining that there's some encoding elements with these containers that it could present issues with the latency, which I 100% agree with. So we need to see on that. But I think, again, it comes down to a battle of ideologies that I said at the beginning. It's buying games individually and owning them in a cloud environment, or is a subscription model where you get multiple subscriptions for different publishers. Is that what's going to win out? And time will tell. The market's going to determine what's going to win. And we will see. That's all we can do at this point, is just wait and see.
There you go. Chris, run us off.
So to see us out on this topic, it's for 1 hour 46 on Amazon Luna. I think echo what everyone else has just said. We need to see it, because at the end of the day, if it comes out and there's bad latency, and I don't know, some of the game library is behind another paywall that we're maybe not too clear on. If the Ubisoft Play, it is the back catalogue, and you may have to pay for the brand new games going forward, and just Valhalla's the special one. We have to pretty much wait and see. And again, the cloud industry, the cloud gaming world is the long game, and we know they're in it for the long haul. So it's definitely going to roll out. Be very, very interested to see how the game industry shifts its dynamic nature over to cloud gaming and subscription models. Xbox are doing it. Amazon, just another player alongside Google. Interesting propositions all around, I think. But yeah, my interest is just to see how the general industry takes it, because all it takes is a couple of sites like IGN, Kotaku, GameSpot to go, nah, it's not that good. I'll stick with my consoles. And a few trends go, or then you'll start seeing the comparison of Amazon Luna. Is that still a thing? What even is a Luna? Do you have a Luna? And it just goes down the same route Stadia's gone. It's all about the optics and public perception. And if they don't get off the ground early, like Stadia's obviously struggled with, it's the long game they need to be in for. But thankfully, they have the money, just like Google. So eagerly anticipated to see where this journey takes us all.
What are they called? Richie's retcons. You forgot to say the Luna.
The Luna,
like the Stadia. Luna. All right.
The Stadia.
I want to.
So Tom was sharing us. Another Tom was showing off that iPhone now has console to phone streaming available, and this is for iOS devices. It's not like a native like Stadia app, but it's just literally running like remote play. If I'm watching this correctly, but yeah.
Remote play.
I think you can do this, Brian, unless this is incorrect, because I heard this from somebody the other night. Apparently, Ashes said, Ashes, who's one of our co-hosts on the This Week on Stadia Unfiltered podcast, was explaining that you can do this in low power mode. So you don't even have to have the Xbox fully booted up to do this, which is craziness if that's true.
Yeah, this is actually it's pretty much your console on your phone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I will say this. In my initial testing, and again, hopefully it changed, and Orion will change this. For the streaming service, the Xbox console streaming service was the worst. It was worse than Steam, and PlayStation Remote was far superior. I tested a few games, including Fallout 76, and it just wasn't no comparison. So hopefully they've improved it. We'll see.
Okay. See, we shall. All right. Any last bits you guys want to cover here before we head out?
I do want to. I want to follow up what Chris said. Please, Chris made an excellent point that there's the potential, and he's already seen it, that Luna is going to get hammered because it's a cloud-based solution. Because we hear or Stadia, sounds of Stadia and the TSI, just because we prefer Stadia at the moment, may change, whatever, you know what I mean, doesn't mean that we got to hate Luna. And when the mainstream, the lamestream media starts hating on these cloud initiatives because it's not the daddy device thing, that's hurting us all. And we don't want to fall into that pit. Unfortunately, fans of xCloud have fell into that pit. And then once xCloud gets running, they're going to hate on that too. Once Xbox starts ditching its console and they go with a cloud solution. So if you're a cloud gamer, you're a cloud gaming enthusiast, it's in your best interest to not let just bad rhetoric fly because it's against your cloud selection. Like if it's not true, hammer it. Like, no, that's not true. Even though I prefer Stadia, Luna can do XYZ, xCloud can do ABC. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what's happening. There's an agenda behind this, and we all need to be cognizant of it, period.
Yeah, 100%. I think I actually saw on Twitter you called out Jason Schreier for still not understanding how Google's how it works.
Yeah,
I think you posted about saying Luna is basically the same, but without Stadia's bad business model of a subscription.
Yeah,
and it was like, you don't need the subscription for the 100th millionth time. Still, and he's a reporter in the games industry.
So frustrating.
That's the frustrating part. Absolutely,
he doesn't want to get it. There's a difference.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he asked like, hopefully it's not as big of a mess like Stadia asking you to pay for each game individually and pay for subscriptions. Like, oh, so like what Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo all do?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay.
Exactly.
Plus, you have to buy the console.
You don't own your games.
You don't know.
But what are you gonna do when Stadia shuts down?
Yeah.
Oh, it's any games just like go back and play any game once the server's gone on. Like, most games now are online anyway. Like ever. Like, what happens when is Division 1 still a thing, or is that gone? Is Destiny 1 still a thing? Is that like once the plug is pulled on that server on my internet and I freeze up? It's like you can't go back and play it, even if you do have the physical media. So. The way the industry is going, it doesn't matter. If Epic pull Fortnite, it's gone. There is no disc you can pop in and play online, Battle Royale. It's gone. So we'll just all go together once the plug's pulled, the internet's gone.
Oh, wow. Doomsday.
All right. Before we
19.
go, we're going to go around the room, let people know where you can find everyone on social media and whatnot. So, Tom, why don't you go ahead and let us know? By the way, I think we want to congratulate you guys on a full year of doing shows.
Woo!
So, awesome job, guys. Not easy to do.
Yay!
1 year,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, so
Absolutely.
myself
Go ahead.
and Chris down in this sort of direction here.
In the blue
I'm
cube.
terrible. In the blue cube.
In the blue cube.
In the bottom right corner. And also Richie as well. Shout out to Richie. He's
In the
been
chat.
doing a little bit of secret recording behind the scenes tonight for us. We make up the Sense of Stadia podcast. We are the UK's longest running podcast based on Stadia and the Stadia ecosystem. We bring you a weekly podcast every Monday, so you can check that out on all podcast platforms. If you want to check it out, youtube.com/Sense of Stadia. And you can find me, if you want to find us directly on Twitter, I'm at AdaxisLP. LP for whatever it wants to be. You can fill that in yourself. Or you can also find out the official Sounds of Stadia Twitter at Sounds of Stadia. Thank you.
And Sounds of Luna coming next month.
Sounds of Luna.
Chris, you want to go ahead and plug your Twitter as well?
Yeah, certainly. So again, Sounds of Stadia with Tom and Richie. I am at CyberChris2077, and I will come out on November 19th on Twitter and the rest of the internet alongside the game. But no, yes, I'm part of Sounds of Stadia, and I'm one of the co-hosts. We do a weekly podcast, we do Let's Plays, we do First Looks, much like all of you lovely people do as well. And yeah, we've reached a year, so we're super happy with that. We're super thrilled, and we are doing a full day tomorrow to celebrate. So Saturday the 26th, we're kicking off 8 a.m. UK time, which I believe is 2 o'clock in the morning, your side of the pond, Central.
It's early. I'm pulling up the graphic. It's very nice here.
It's early. And yeah, we're doing a full day of streams. So we're playing Monster Boy to kickstart things, which is pre-recorded because I'm not getting up that early.
Not a chance.
I also love sleep a lot more. So yeah, 2 a.m. you can see on there. Then we're doing our podcast live, which is only the second time we've done that in a whole year. We're doing a community post show, so send in your questions. We'd love to see some discussion in the chat. Look, just like everyone right here, right now can do. Send in the questions. Doing a couple of game streams. Then we're going to bounce over to Chase's channel with Stadia Talk. Because we didn't want to interrupt the flow of his lovely breakfast show. So grab your bagels, grab your coffees. We'll be probably cracking open a pint because it's early afternoon on a Saturday for us.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're going straight to some Bomberman, new Let's Plays. Then we've got another community open mic. And we specifically got that open mic there because it's when you guys come alive on Saturday in the States. So we want to get.
And it's also when we'll be extremely drunk and live on YouTube. So, whatever happens, happens.
And then, yeah, some more games. Then we're going to wrap up with Marvel's Avengers. So hopefully we'll see some of the Stadia Initiative in the chat and jump into our roster and kill some baddies. That's how we roll. So, yeah. But thank you very much for having us both on the show. It's great to be asked. It's great to be guests. And love the conversation, as always. And, yeah, looking forward to what the future of Stadia holds and Sounds of Stadia. It's been a blast.
Thank you guys for joining us today. MM2K, where can people find you?
When I'm not yelling at my viewers, you can find me at MM2K on Twitter, also at Stadia Dosage on Twitter. You can find me more prominently tomorrow co-hosting SML Live on Stadia will never be the same. I keep messing this up, Chase. I'm sorry. Stadia, #Stadia will never be the same, or Saturdays will never be the same. Again, the latter half of that.
Stadia Saturday Evolution.
all of the same. Stadia Saturday Evolution, where we'll be doing SML Live. We're taking live phone calls, yappas, messages, and all that good stuff. Check us tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome stuff. Meg, how can people find you?
Yes, youtube.com/MegatronX for my YouTube channel where I do videos of Stadia gameplay and first looks and series. My next video, I'll be finishing up the Hitman series, Hitman 1. It's a really hard mission, and I end up slicing up people with a katana. So it's fun. And my Twitter is Meg_Atron_X. And yeah, follow me. Sub. Do it.
Eddie.
You guys can find me at Twitter or YouTube at EddiePlayer1. I want to give a shout out quickly here for MM and things again. Chase, and Ashes to Ashes. It was 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. We started recording a podcast.
Yeah.
And we said, well, let's do this in 20 minutes. We did almost 1 hour show talking about Luna. We're talking about everything that we cover here, plus more details on Kodak, some conspiracy theory on business model. That episode is going to be live at 6 p.m. Eastern time tonight over patreon.com/This Week on Stadia.
Woohoo!
Woo! No, become a member.
Chase.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. You can find me on Twitter at PhantomUFCFan. You can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/Stadia Talk. And if you want to stop by, have some coffee and your favorite breakfast item, 10 a.m. EDT tomorrow, the wonderful gentleman from Sounds of Stadia will be joining me. We're going to have a fun time talking about this past week. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. And congratulations, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Cheers, mate.
So I want to thank the amount of people that were hanging with us in the chat today. It was a really good show. We had some really good conversations here. Again, this was episode number 13 of the Stadia Initiative, known as the SOS Initiative. Nice little crossover we had today. You can watch us live every other Friday. Usually we're going to do 3 weeks in a row here though. YouTube.com/Club Stadia until October 30th, when we'll go over to YouTube.com/Stadia Talk after that. But again, want to thank everyone for joining us. Want to thank Chris and Tom for joining us. And of course, my awesome castmates with us as well. Germani was out on the farm today. He had some business to take care of. So he'll be back with us next week. We'll be back here at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Pro predictions were correct. Did you guys give your pro predictions yet? Or are you saving that for the podcast tomorrow?
I think we might keep that one a little bit secret. Keep it tucked away.
All right, that's fair.
Tell us tomorrow.
Cyberpunk, Jedi Fallen Order, FIFA.
Cyberpunk 2 months ahead of time.
Really.
It's happening. All right,
GTA 6.
All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we will catch you down the road. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Peace.
Bye, everybody.